What's good, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, and today we have a review for a movie that we reacted to a few weeks back called Monkey Man. This movie instantly got my attention during the trailer. Clearly you could see it was a story about revenge, story taking place in a different country, which is a nice change of pace, but more importantly it was a story about just flat out throwing hands. I went to see the movie on Friday, and I gotta say, based off the trailer, this movie did not disappoint. One thing you could tell very early on in this movie is that it was influenced by the John Wick series, I guess you can call it, since it's beyond a trilogy at this point, to the point where the movie doesn't even hide it. I believe there's actually a John Wick reference in the movie. I mean, going down to the idea of a man seeking revenge, the hand-to-hand combat in the trailer, even just that swag of wearing a suit while you're fighting your enemies. Monkey Man definitely drew a lot of inspiration from the Wick series. And one thing I will say that I like about this movie, in difference to John Wick, is that it doesn't really rely too heavily on the gunplay that you see in John Wick. Now, John Wick's choreography is second to none, at least that I can think of in modern day media or modern day movies. And Monkey Man came pretty close. This movie is really all about hand-to-hand combat. I mean, to the point where when you see a gun pop up on the screen, these guys turn into stormtroopers. I think only like one or two people actually get shot during the movie during combat scene. Hand-to-hand combat is very big, you know, knives, bats, pretty much anything that these characters can get their hands on. That is how they are combating one another. That is how they are fighting. And I gotta say, I love the brutality of it. This movie, I don't know if they even rate movies anymore. I remember when I was a kid, you used to go to the movie theater and it was rated R, rated PG-13. This movie is very bloody. I'm not gonna say it's gory or anything like that, but when it's hand-to-hand, like, you're gonna see a lot of blood flow. And I feel like they do that intentionally just to show you how brutal these confrontations are when the time comes. As far as the story itself, it's a pretty typical story of revenge. Something happens to the main character in his childhood, and he grows up and he seeks revenge. I think even in the beginning of the movie, going back to the gun references, just I guess you can't really, it's not really a spoiler, but he has a gun in the beginning of the movie, and you know, he doesn't really land the shot, and then he goes into this whole training arc, and he comes back at the end and he's just an absolute machine. So if you ever seen an anime protagonist, if you ever seen a story of revenge, it's that pretty typical storyline. Now, there are some things that you can tell the movie is influenced on based off the politics that are happening in India, which I'm not too familiar with. Potentially you can see that there is a layer deeper, because the movie does have political figures, it has LGBTQ references, different things like that. So you can see there's another layer there, but I'm in America. I can't really speak too much to how that impacts the culture and what the underlying message was supposed to be sent. I do believe this movie was delayed in India as well. I'm not sure if any of those things had implications on that, but you can definitely see that there was a deeper message there as well. Overall, the movie was really good. There are some parts in there that are a bit slower than others. I do think there are some things like they get into the mythology of Monkey Man. I do think that could have tied in a little bit more. There are some combat scenes that I did wish we got a little bit more out of. However, I have to say, the end of this movie, the climax of the movie, that scene where you see in the trailer where he's enveloped in red, like he's coming out of hell, like he's coming out of the red elevator, when this movie hits its peak, when I tell you, like, it hits its peak, and the whole time I was in the theater, I was like, this is a good movie, but what are like those unforgettable moments, you know? And to reference similar films, in Kill Bill Volume 1, we had that scene where she's fighting in the restaurant and she kills like 100 people before she like reaches the boss level, like almost like it's a video game. in John Wick, I mean, there's so many different choreography scenes, but the one that my probably favorite one was when he had the incendiary, if I'm saying that correct, shotgun, and they did the top down, almost like you're playing Diablo vision, and you see him going through from room to room. Like I'm sitting here in the theater while I'm watching Monkey Man, and I'm just like, okay, where is this iconic moment that, like, when I think of this movie, I'm never gonna forget it? And I gotta say, at the end, there is a scene where he finally catches up with someone he's been trying to catch up with during this movie, and you almost hold your breath for the last 15 to 20 minutes. Between that confrontation all the way up to the end of the movie, that was, I believe that's when this movie was at its best. When you are there at the edge of your seat, like, how is the protagonist going to confront this issue? Leading up to that, all of the confrontations that he had, with the exception of maybe one, felt a little trivial. It kind of felt like, okay, it's too early in the movie for him to do this, or it's too early in the movie for him to die. And then there's this chase scene, and then you're kind of like, all right, well, where are we going with this? But when it gets to the end of the movie, it absolutely delivers. It absolutely delivers. The brutality of it, the combat, the choreography, the ode to John Wick. I wouldn't even be mad if there was a Monkey Man 2 and we saw it kind of start to spin itself into the John Wick universe. I doubt it. It does not seem like these movies are affiliated in any way, but it almost was to that level where I could see it going there, and I think it would be a very welcoming, you know, spin-off or alternate universe of John Wick. So overall, this was a great movie. If you're looking for a movie about combat, looking for a movie about revenge, just looking for a good time at the movie theater, Monkey Man is a movie I would give my stamp of approval to. Other than that, that's all I really got. So if you have seen this movie, let me know what you think in the comments below. I tried to be as spoiler free as possible. So this is the opening weekend. I guess after a week or two that spoiler embargo is kind of lived, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Is this a movie that you're going to go see? Have you already seen it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you like about it? Do you agree? Do you disagree? If you don't have anything to say, I'd appreciate it if you hit the like button. And for more reviews, we actually have Civil War coming out next week. I'm going to see that movie as soon as possible so I can review that one as well. Hit the subscribe so you know when I'm posting, and until then, peace.